Hi everyone, Materim here with another battle report. This one's going to be a little unusual. This week we are taking a break from our normal narrative and the campaign games because a good friend who is going to Brawler's Bash at the end of the month asked to come over and get in a couple of practice games. So I made one battle report of the first game, which has his Dark Elves versus my Empire. 3,000 point pitched battle. Um, because he's still working on this list, he's asked that I not go into the details of his list overly much. So I'm going to give kind of a vague discussion of what he has, but not really go into the specifics on anything unless it becomes super pertinent to what's going on. So that being said, let's go ahead and show you the battlefield and get into deployment. So here you have the board. Now we did not use, excuse me, we did not use the terrain generation tables that we usually do in our games here, because my friend wanted a Brawler Bash experience. So I let him just come over, pick some terrain out, lay it on the table, and we rolled for sides. I believe he chose the side on the far end. I don't quite remember who won, but this is how things look before the horror that is about to be released. Now, I want to go ahead and say I had no illusions that I would win this game going into it. This is one of the best players I've played against with one of the dirtiest lists I've ever seen. Um, and I'm just learning Empire. So, my only real goal in this game is to not get tabled. So, that's what I'm aiming for from here on in. And again, I'm not going into too much detail, but he has a unit of Dark Riders here and 4 repeater bolt throwers up on the hill. Then here he has another unit of Dark Riders, a big old scary unit of Witch Elves with the Cauldron of Blood, and more importantly, and I will go ahead and spoil this, Hellebron. Now, I also want to say I did not know what Hellebron was until this game, so I was not yet afraid. He also has a master on a flying beast in there and a few other characters. Next to that is a unit of 10 Doomfire Warlocks, and there's a group of Harpies in the back. And then to finish off his flanks, a unit of 5 Doomfire Warlocks and another group of Dark Riders right there. So to get started with my deployment, I actually took a picture of my scouts first, but you see I have a unit of 10 Halfling Huntsmen um, over there ready to threaten his fast cav. Just normal huntsmen, but I use halfling miniatures because I think it's cool. Then here I have a unit of 3 Demigryph Knights with musician and standard bearer. Behind them is a unit of 20 great swords with full command and the gleaming pennant. So here I have a unit of 10 inner circle knights with full command. With them is Sir Helmut Vierbaden, my Grand Master. He has the Rune Fang and the other Trickster's Shard. Behind that is my Altar of Moor, which serves as my Celestial Hurricanum, and a unit of 30 Halberdiers in the yellow and purple. They have a detachment of 15 spearmen that's on the other side of the Hellblaster volley gun. You can barely see it. Next to that, obviously, is the Hellblaster volley gun. Behind my halberdiers is a unit of 20 swordsmen. And you can see in the back there, they have a detachment of 5 archers where Magister Conrad Braun is hiding out. He just is my level 4 of life and has a spell scroll. And in the halberdiers, I have my Archlector Heinrich von Grunberg with the armor of meteoric iron and a dawnstone, and Captain Derek Hosberg, my BSB with enchanted shield, talisman of endurance, and Iron Curse icon. Then over here on top of the hill, you see the one and only steam tank. And holding down my other flank, spread out enough so he can't get his scouts around me, is a unit of 30 flagellants and a Prophet of Doom. Here you see he has vanguarded one unit of his Dark Riders, not a whole lot. Here you see where he laid down his scouts. I don't even remember what they're called. and vanguarded up pretty much everything else. I was really, really surprised at how fast everything was moving. I was kind of hoping to get some chances to get my bearings before he came rushing at me, and I haven't even we haven't even determined who gets the first turn yet, and he's halfway across the board, which makes me really nervous. And here are the other two fast cav having moved up as well. So I do get the first turn, and I start off by moving up the demigryphs here so that I can get a threat on his dark riders that are behind the building. If not, I figure if they flee, I can come into the side of the witch elves. Because at the time I'm thinking, oh, they're strength 3, so they've got a bunch of attacks. It's no big deal. Um, some of you are laughing now. And I move the great swords up as well there. Everything else here, I move up to maintain a pretty solid line. I didn't want to really overextend myself, but on the other hand, I really needed to move. I have had problems with the Empire in the past where I stay a little too bottled up and I'm tripping over myself. And you can see the double dice on the steam tank. I misfired my first turn and took a wound in addition to moving up where you see me now. And the flagellants, I'm just bringing them in hard. I want them to hit those light units and just kind of sweep through. Um, they're really kind of on second thought. They're probably in a bad position because I really probably should have thrown them just face first into the witch elves to tie them up. But I messed up my deployment, I think, in the long run. But I want them to get into something and do some pain. So we'll see if that works. So magic was nothing. I think I got thrown a vines up. But shooting, my halfling huntsmen come through. They end up shooting two of his dark riders dead, and they panicked and started running back that way, which I thought was pretty awesome. I then followed it up with a cannon shot, but I don't think I hit anybody. Yeah, so here is just a picture of my failed cannon because I remember now. I misfired on the steam gun's cannon shot, so I took two additional wounds. So in top of 3, my steam tank has taken, or top of 1 rather, the steam tank has taken 3 wounds, and the dark elves didn't have to do any of them. So I figured this is pretty much par for the course in the way I use war machines, so I shouldn't really be that surprised. Um, Over here, my archers, I think it was my archers in the way. Oh no, I'm sorry. I can't shoot for crap with the Hellblaster either. So I let loose with the Hellblaster on these guys. I think I did 6 shots. It was something really stupid. And because one of them was a misfire. And I managed to kill one of his freaking scouts. So that did me exactly 0 good. So we go into the Dark Elves' turn. His 3 Dark Riders in the back there rally and turn to face at the Halflings, figuring that they would go stomp them up. He brings 1 unit of the Dark Riders, or the, not Dark Riders, the Warlock guys up in the face of the Steam Tank, and the other one that has a Wizard in it is hanging back to do some crazy spell casting and hopefully eat me alive, which doesn't make me happy. Um, and over here, he moves up that big giant scary brick of things here and moves the flying guy out of it and leaves him back. And then he brings the harpies over here on the side to chaff up the demigryphs when they come through. Again, I still don't quite realize how much danger is here. I'm still kind of discounting them. So I'm playing a little reckless, and I think it's going to bite me in the ass. And of course, his other fast cav come here around the corner, and because I'm dumb and didn't even think he was going to do this, although it was pretty obvious, I've got nothing even looking at him. So there's not anything that I'm going to be able to do about those guys, and they're just going to run in circles and do lots of tiny amounts of damage to things. So we go to Empire turn 2, and I start off by charging the 1 unit of warlocks, the one that's in the back now, with my spearman. He chose to flee. He didn't flee very far, um, and kind of went off to the right. So I decided to charge with the flagellate, or the flagellants. And because he was already fleeing, he kept going, ran through the combat there with the steam tank and the Doomfires. So that's where they ended up fleeing towards the back of the board. I was really kind of hoping they'd keep running and they'd just go ahead and run off the board, but I should know by now that I'm not nearly that lucky. Over here, I charge my knight unit and the one remaining demigryph because the other two got shot by bolt throwers last turn. I guess I forgot to take a picture. But I charge everything into. Well, first I started charging into the Dark Riders there. They fled through the witches, and I redirected to the witches. The Halberdiers charge into the scouts who tried to flee. They fled very little, and I ended up catching them, so that's where I ended up there. So magic was pretty immaterial, but in shooting, my halfling huntsmen show their gumption again and kill the last two members of that rallied Dark Riders unit and send the guy fleeing again. And with the angle where he had to flee, he's going to end up just running through and hopefully causing some havoc through this area. But now he needs to rally on ones. So he's pretty much out of the game, though I'm kind of hoping he'll run off the board at some point and give me some points. I did the Hellblaster into these two Doomfire Warlocks and ended up killing 3 or 4 of them. I don't remember how many were there at the time, but because they were fleeing, they obviously aren't going to panic and flee more, so they end up staying where they are. So we go into combat over here with the Steam Tank. He doesn't hurt me. Steam Tank manages to kill off, looks like 3 of those Warlocks, so I'm pretty okay there, but he sticks it out. So at this point, I'm kind of realizing that they're a tougher unit than I gave them credit for. I was thinking fast cab, they'd crumble pretty easy, but those 4-up ward saves are hard, so I realize I'm going to need to bring in some help if I want to destroy these guys. So yeah, this is after combat in the middle, and you may be wondering, hey, Materim, what happened to your knights and the demigryph? As far as the knights go, all I can say is Hellebron. Fuck Hellebron, if you will pardon my language, but that crazy psycho butchered the entire unit of knights, and then the rest of them took the demigryph, but because I was in a challenge with my Grandmaster, he managed to kill, like just butcher the champion in that unit, but he broke. On the plus side, I ran far enough to get where I am in this picture, and the witches didn't catch me, so he's at least alive. So, Dark Elf turn 2. The Witch Elves tried to charge my Huracanum. It fled and escaped. His Dark Riders came around here to get on the side of my Greatswords, who are foolishly chasing him around in circles, trying to get a good line of sight. I really just... These were a waste of points in the Greatswords. I just absolutely failed to use them to any great effect at any point during this game, so I kind of feel sad about that. Over here you see he rallies the 2 Doomfire Warlocks and brings his second unit of Dark Riders over to deal with the Halfling Huntsmen, who say, "Come get some!" and are ready to shoot holes in them because they're halflings, and it makes me laugh. So over here, I guess maybe he didn't charge. I think he just reformed. Yeah, because he's wanting to get a piece of the general's unit. So I'm sorry, I lied. He did not charge. Reformed here, and brought his harpies there to act as a shield against the Hellblaster volley gun and anything else that I might have in this area. And during magic phase, Dwellers Below reminds me how much I hate the level 6 spells in most of the lores. Yeah, he hits me with it hard. I lose my BSB and all but, what is that? All but 12 of the Halberdiers. So my general's still there with 12 Halberdiers and no BSB. And I am very sad. However, I don't panic, so I'm going to stay there. During shooting, he ends up pumping a bunch of shots into the great swords, but because it was strength 3 against their 4 up armor, he only managed to take out a single model. And then he uses one of his bolt throwers to shoot into this unit with multi shots, kills 3 of the archers, and panics the unit. So the 2 remaining archers and my level 4 wizard is running for the back rank of the board. And yeah. So, and I've used my Dispel Scroll. He actually tried to get Dwellers off like turn 1, and I stopped it there. So we go into Empire turn 3, and like I said, I need help with these Doomfire War Bastards. Um, so I charged the Flagellants into the side, which is just excessive, and then I charged my Spearmen into the front, just because I want them dead. I'm having some success on this flank, and I just need to keep it going, and those Doomfire Warlocks are being a huge, just a huge stopping point. And I guess I didn't share this. I charged my Halberdiers at his master on the Pegasus, mainly because even with a failed charge, I was going to get out of sight of that big Witch Elf unit, because at this point, I realize what it can do. It could have deleted the Halberdier unit if it was full, so I want to try and get the hell away from it and lead it around in circles for a while, so we'll see if that happens. But there's still too much that's within touching range of it, so the brave swordsmen of Alt Dwarf have to march to their doom to go ahead and frenzy bait these witch elves and get them away from what little I have left that's important. And over here you see everything rallied. My Celestial Hurricanum and the Grandmaster are turned to face that unit of Fast Cav that's harassing the Great Swords, and my Wizard Lord and the 2 guys left turn around to hopefully magic something, because I want to hit. I have Dwellers below too, and I really want to hit that Witch Elf unit with it and make them cry like they made me cry. So yeah, so over here, we totally crushed that unit of Doomfire Warlocks. And the way the carryover goes from the way they pursued, or way they fled and I pursued, the Spearmen end up into the other 2 Doomfire Warlocks, and that entire brick of Flagellants ends up into the Dark Riders, protecting my Halfling Huntsman from taking any damage. So we go into Dark Elf turn 3, and realizing that I've got some serious points over here, and thinking he can get the Celestial Hurricanum pretty easy, he charges his Dark Riders into it. Now, I'm thinking at this point that Celestial Hurricanum is gone. It's a great support piece, but it's not meant to be in combat, so I'm very nervous here. And of course, the Frenzy Bait works, and the big unit of Witch Elves charged the Swordsman. And I'll tell you, we didn't even bother rolling to resolve this combat, because I just saw how many attacks he kicked out against the Knights. So we just agreed he deleted me in ASF. So when we get to combat, I literally just pick up this unit and set it to the side, because it's done, and I don't want to waste anybody's time. Over here, he brings his wizard who had succeeded in escaping. She was the only one left alive from that unit of Doomfire Warlocks. So she rallies. The Pegasus Master that's behind her rallies. And he brings his... the fleeing Harpies rally. So after shooting, he pumps just a bunch of the repeater bolt thrower shots into my general's unit. So there are only Heinrich von Grunberg and 6 of the brave men of Ostermark there left. As you can see, he killed 6 of them with the bolt thrower shots, which made me sad. And I think that's all the shooting. And this photo is because I forgot to take the panic test when he shot the unit the uh, with the bolt throwers, but we did panic, and this is where they ended up running to. I'm not sure why they ran this way. I think because it turned out that the witch elves were closer. But yeah, so this is where they ended up. And after this combat, you see the spearmen lost, I think, another guy, and turned to face the two characters that are over here. Pretty much know I'm outmatched, but at least by standing here, it's going to make it a little more difficult for them to get in and help the Dark Riders against the Flagellates. So I'm feeling okay there. And as I said earlier, this is the picture where I just picked up the unit of swordsmen and saved us all about 20 minutes of the Dark Elves rolling 8,000 dice and re-rolling them all. And then combat over here was a flub on the Dark Riders side, and one of my horses from uh, the altar there actually kicked a Dark Rider in the face and killed him. So I thought that was pretty funny. And over here you see the Flagellates just delete that unit of Dark Riders, which is cool. You may notice that the Steam Tank hasn't moved in like 2 turns. It's because I have been consecutively misfiring with it and losing all the steam points that I've built up. So it's basically sat there and done nothing for the last 2 turns. So my turn. The Spearman tried to charge into his wizard. He flees. I redirect into the Master. My Halberdier unit reform and end up here, so they're within 3 inches of their detachment, so they can share some power. And the Flagellants can't really do anything at this point. So over here, my Grandmaster charges in to help out the Hurricanum, and the Great Swords turn around to face the Dark Riders just in case they're still there after Sir Veerbaden gets done with them, which is frankly unlikely because he's got the Rune Fang and it's going to be messy over there. And then in my magic phase, I show the Dark Elves that turnabout is fair play as I cast Dwellers Below on them. Take out a bunch of them. Unfortunately, unlike me, he rolled successful on all of the characters that are in there, so he didn't lose any of the characters, which made me very, very sad. Um, but that unit is significantly thinned down at this point. And then in combat over here, Sir Veerbaden just shows them what the name of pain is and kills them to one left, and then I'm pretty sure it was a horse from the Hurricanum again killed another one. So nothing to deal with there, and I'm pretty happy with that. So over here, his master kills 4 spearmen, but because my general is not fleeing anymore and I'm right there, I end up using his leadership, and they stick it out, which was pretty awesome. And I did not succeed anything wound wise. Oh, and those 2 counters are there is because I did actually succeed in casting the pre spell that gives 5-up ward save and rerolls to wounds, and I still didn't do anything. So we go into uh, Dark Elf turn, and this is Dark Elf turn 4. So he turns his big old bus to come get my spellcaster, the Hurricanum, Sir Veerbaden, and the Great Swords. So here I realize my only hope is if I can get on my next turn, get the steam tank into them to hold them up for a little bit so that those guys can scatter, so he can't get me. Uh, he does charge. Okay, and this actually happened. I had these pictures backwards. He did charge his master out of this unit into my Hellblaster volley gun, so I'm thinking, it's pretty much dead. So that doesn't make me a happy camper. And with the way he's going, he'll kill that and overrun into my level 4 spellcasters unit and probably murder all them without really much effort. Over here, he brings the harpies into the side of the spearmen. Probably overkill, but I think he's tired of being tied up in that combat as long. So I can see why he did it. So over here, in shooting, he just lets fly with his bolt throwers on uh, Heinrich's unit and kills all but two of the good men of Ostermark. Uh, so I'm in trouble because once those guys die, I can't join the spearmen because they're in combat and frankly will probably be dead soon. And I can't join the flagellants because they're unbreakable. So my general's going to be out there on his own if they don't just outright kill him. So we go into combat, and obviously the master just slaughters the Hellblaster, so that's not a huge surprise. Um, I don't remember why he didn't overrun. I'm not sure. I don't recall. It might be. But anyway, that's where he ends up. So I'm in a place where I can do some charges on him, and that's pretty good. So over here, he ends up killing the spearman, and why am I that way? Oh, I remember. I chased off. He had one of his random dudes running around that way, so I ended up chasing them off. So my lord is there, and all that's left on that side is the flagellants. And on my charge turn, after I did that first charge in the back, I do luckily manage to succeed in sneaking the steam tank in his back. Now I realize with Hellebron's BS cannonball wand or whatever the hell she uses to give her uh, 10 strength, um, the 6 wounds on the tank is not going to do much. All I'm hoping is that he survives so that they can't charge me next turn. And over here, I charge his one remaining master that was out by itself with the Hurricanum. He flees, still is within charge range of Sir Veerbaden, so I charge with him. So he fled just a ridiculous amount of space. I'm hoping with a couple of good rolls to go in my favor, he'll be off the table. The downside is that if I don't kill, if I don't hold up with the steam tank, um, they're just going to run into this guys, and everything in this center here is going to die on my next turn. And Sigmar has answered my prayers. He managed to do. I did some more wounds here, but he only managed to do 6 of the 7 wounds he needed to kill the steam tank. Which means, yeah, he'll get the points for the steam tank on his turn, but I will have the ability to scatter those units around the sides, um, so he won't be able to charge on turn 6, so I saved a bunch of points. Over here, his, or no, yeah, I guess this is his charge turn. So he does charge the character in here. I may be behind on some stuff. Um, and you can see Heinrich up there with a single wound on him from bolt thrower fire from last turn. So he's got 4 bolt throwers staring him in the face and 2 wounds left. It's not going to be good. And over here is where he fails to rally with his master. So his master goes, unfortunately, just a very small amount of space. So he's got, I'd probably say he's got 8 or 9 inches left to the edge of the board. I really was kind of hoping he would run super extra fast there and just get right off the board. Because he could have done it if he had rolled box cars, and then that would be some more points I could get. And over here, he brings his spellcaster, who's got 1 wound on her, over here so that he'll be able to try Dwellers Below on the 3-man unit of my level 4 and the 2 archers there just to try and kill him, which I thought was funny. And my friend was making the joke the entire game that his whole strategy came down to 6 dicing Dwellers, but he pretty much tried to 6 dice it every turn. So, during shooting, he ends up pumping all 4 of the bolt throwers into my lord and doesn't kill him. So I think he does 1 more wound, so he's sitting up there at 1 wound. But over here we go into combat, and Foregone Conclusion chops up the steam tank. But the steam tank did its job because I saved well more than 500 points by not letting the Witch Elves get in there. So on my turn 6, you see I run the Great Swords into the building so they get away. I run uh, Severe Bodden up there through the middle and the Celestial Hurricanum where it is there. So we are well out of sight of that big Witch Elf unit. So all they can do next turn is turn around and look at me, which is fine. And over here is where my archers and level 4 ended up. So the only thing I've got to be afraid of here is that wizard. The wizard could get lucky, make a long charge on me. But with the distance we're at even. So he'll be rolling 3 dice to charge. I'll be rolling 2 dice to flee, and I have to beat him. So it comes down to that. So I thought that was pretty exciting, and we'll see kind of where it goes from there. Over here, you can see where my general is standing now next to the flagellants to get the 4-up lookout, sir, because he can't join the unit, so he might as well be close enough, and is sitting on 2 wounds. The flagellants end up taking a bunch of wounds, but inflict 1 wound back on the master on the Pegasus here. So turn 6, his spellcaster charges, and my wizard and the 2 archers manage to escape. They actually outrun the master to get over there. So they don't go off the board. He doesn't catch me. No points there. I would also like you to notice at the very top, my halfling huntsman unit has been here this whole time, and he's not been able to get the points for him. I've been shooting at stuff but not really doing anything. But it's really funny that the halflings that collapsed half his line don't get anything. Now here you will see dead Heinrich von Grunberg. Now all these dice are the number of dice he needed to roll on the repeater bolt throwers to inflict the last final wound on Heinrich von Grunberg. So we all thought that was worth being documented because Sigmar is with the Archlector. You cannot deny that. But I mean, he was taking like bolts and like 6-up ward saving it and crazy stuff like that. So, but that was the last points he got because he didn't even bother moving the Witch Elves because they couldn't do anything. So this is what the board looks like at the end of the game. Still a lot of Dark Elf stuff on the board, but there was a hell of a lot of Empire stuff too. So I easily succeeded my goal of not being tabled. And it was close enough where we had to go to the points to find out who won. Alright, so as you can see, we did have a victory for the Dark Elves. But the great thing is, in my opinion, it was only a victory by about 600 points. And considering how outclassed I felt, both in terms of brutalness of lists and the skill of my opponent, who he's a consummate tournament player. He's good. He's very good. And to have not only lost by 600 points, but he was kind of practicing for Brawler Bash, which only matters in how much you kill. I actually kept him down to only having killed about 1,700 points worth of stuff, which the way he was saying it is anything that any points less than, I think he said 3,500, he considers a loss for what you need to do to qualify to place at Brawlers. So, given what I was up against, I was very, very pleased. It could have been a heck of a lot worse, and I'm glad that I was able to stick it out and do as well as I could. As far as his list, oh my god, I have a brand new respect for Dark Elves and a brand new respect for Witch Elves, because they're nasty. And I want to just go ahead and say, I know I said it during the report, but fuck Hellebron. That is just a brutal, brutal special character, and I'm glad our group doesn't play with those much. Because I tell you, if our Dark Elf player ever shows up with a brick of Dark Elves like that and tells me Hellebron's in it, I may just flip the table on him. and I probably won't feel bad about it. Um, so, other than that, as far as what I tried new in the list, I like the flagellants. They're fun. In a horde form, they're actually pretty badass. So I was pretty happy there. I kind of wish I had gotten a chance to see how the Inner Circle Knights perform because I really didn't. um, Being deleted before they even got to swing by Hellebron was nasty. Um, I do like the Grandmaster though. He's a lot of points. I mean, he clocks in at over 250 points, but on his horse, he's got a one-up armor save. He's got the Rune Fang and the other Trickster Shard, so he can put down characters. He can put down lots of stuff. So I kind of like that. I may try and figure out a way to work him into my story army for the narrative. We'll see. Um, the Halberdiers, the men of Ostermark, again, just didn't really get to show their colors. They look very pretty, and they have an amazing looking banner. My wife did, but still not there yet. The Spearmen are good. I kind of wish I had some more money to spend on buying some more Spearmen because that's pretty awesome. Although I really want I have the 15 spearmen I have are like the old style spearmen, so I'm gonna have to try and hunt them down. That may be a little bit of a pain. But I gotta say, my MVP, as strange as it is, are probably the halfling huntsmen. Um, and it's kind of silly. Yeah, they only killed one unit, but they ended up taking out that fast cab and causing just a panic run down that whole side of the line, which ended up meaning that by the time my flagellants were there and the steam tank were in there, that whole side of the line had started to collapse. So he really wasn't in a position to handle the other threats that I was bringing. So I think the huntsmen have earned their place in my list. So we'll see how that goes. Um, I definitely can see the use of Dwellers Below, as it was like the only thing that put a dent in those Dark Elves. But I still think it's kind of cheap. I don't really like it. Um, so I'm thinking I'll probably give Life Arrest for a little while and try another lore, see what happens. But I'm not sure what else is left. So if anybody has, I've been suggested Light. I kind of like Shadow. So if anybody else has any suggestions, feel free to put them in the comments and kind of tell me why you like a particular lore, and maybe I'll give it a try, see what happens. So, sorry to ramble on a little bit, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe and like the video. Again, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll get to them as I can. Again, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time.